Let's just jump right in. We are in the middle of the single biggest shift in how we work since the Industrial Revolution. Seriously. And this isn't just about fancy new tools or AI, no. This is about the very foundation, the very structure of our organizations, literally dissolving from something solid and predictable into something, well, liquid. This is the new era of work, and we've got to understand it.
And you know, this quote from the great Peter Drucker just absolutely nails the problem, doesn't it? The world today is turbulent, it's uncertain, it's incredibly fast, but the logic we're using to try and get through it, it's yesterday's logic. It's built for a world that, frankly, just doesn't exist anymore.
So there it is. The world moved on, but it seems like our organizations didn't get the memo. Most companies out there are still desperately clinging to structures and systems that were built for a completely different time, a time of control, of predictability, and that mismatch? That's the source of almost all the friction and frustration we feel at work.
I mean, think about it. The traditional hierarchy, the org chart, it was designed for one thing, to manage predictable work and to control the flow of information. But today, information moves faster than any hierarchy could ever hope to control it. That whole illusion of control is just shattering, and these old, rigid structures are failing right in front of us.
And this leads to this really dangerous condition, something we call structural blindness. It's when we blame everything else, our tools, our people, our processes, but we completely fail to see that the real problem is the outdated organizational model itself. You know, the biggest risk to your company today isn't some new AI. It's becoming the next Kodak or Nokia because of a total failure to see that the very structure needs to change.
And this is the trap it creates. It's like we're in an organizational prison. We lock ourselves inside with these detailed, predictable plans and rigid dependencies, and it gives us this false sense of certainty. But meanwhile, all the real opportunities are just flowing right past the prison walls, and we are completely stuck, unable to adapt.
This internal trap, this feeling, it actually has a name. And if you've ever worked in a big company, I guarantee you have felt this. It's that self-inflicted friction that just slows everything to a crawl and absolutely kills progress. So let's call it what it is.
Gray sludge. It's that invisible force you have to fight against every single day. It's the meetings about the meetings, the decisions that never seem to stick, the bureaucracy that makes a simple task feel impossible. And the worst part about it? It's entirely self-inflicted. We create it ourselves.
And here is the absolute kicker, the catch-22. Our usual reaction to the gray sludge is to fight it with, you guessed it, more sludge. We launch yet another reorg, we add even tighter controls, we make these tiny little changes. But all these so-called fixes just reinforce the old, broken model and actually make everything worse.
Okay, so how in the world do we break out of this cycle? How do we dissolve the gray sludge for good? Well, if the solid, rigid model is the problem, then the solution is to become liquid. This means we need a totally new organizational form, one that's designed for this new era.
This visual, wow, it captures the entire shift perfectly. On the left, you see the old way, the rigid, top-down hierarchy. And on the right, you see the future, a dynamic, interconnected network. We're moving from a world where you're defined by a job title to one where you're valued for the accountable contributions you make. It's a fundamental change.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, a liquid organization gives teams the power and the freedom to act. Instead of rigid departments, it forms these temporary networks, almost like squads, to tackle a problem and then they dissolve. It's all built on people making accountable contributions. The work itself becomes the organizing principle, not your box on the org chart. The goal is simple: flow with opportunity. And the mantra is powerful: respond first, integrate later.
Now, you can't steer a liquid organization with an old-fashioned roadmap. It just won't work. When you're in constant motion, you don't need a map that tells you where every single turn is. You need a compass. Strategy has to become a completely different kind of tool.
And here's the difference. Old strategy was a fixed plan, a map. It was designed to drive predictable value and avoid surprises. Generative strategy, on the other hand, is a navigation tool, a compass. It's not designed to prevent surprises, it's designed to absorb them. It actually thrives on uncertainty instead of fighting against it.
So in a liquid organization, strategy is no longer some dusty document you write once a year and put on a shelf. No way. It becomes a living, breathing process. It's the continuous, real-time choice between your aspiration, where you want to play, and your action, how you choose to win in that space. It's a constant dance between seeing the world clearly and making smart moves.
Okay, so if the organization is liquid and strategy is a compass, Who holds the compass? Who connects all the dots? This brings us to a new, absolutely crucial human role that acts as the linchpin for this entire system. This is the new paradigm for leadership.
So who pilots this liquid organization? It's not the traditional manager, and it's not your average project manager either. It requires a totally new kind of leader, a new kind of thinker. It requires a strategist.
And check this out. This is the part that is absolutely stunning. This is how you dissolve that gray sludge we were talking about. This new strategist role is so effective at integration that one single person can replace the coordination overhead of more than 10 traditional roles. Think about all those project managers and coordinators just chasing status updates. We're talking about radical simplification here.
So what does this new strategist actually do? They're not just sitting around making plans. Think of them as the conductor of the orchestra. They turn strategy into a common language that everyone can use to integrate their work. They are constantly sensing tensions and opportunities across the whole business. They orchestrate work into those fluid networks, acting as the ultimate connectors and sense makers. They ensure all the pieces flow together to create something beautiful. This is the new definition of leadership excellence.
So, we'll end with this thought. In a world that's defined by constant change and surprise, you really have to ask yourself, is your organization built to be a rock, rigid, unmoving, just waiting to be worn down by the current? Or is it built to be a river, able to flow, to adapt, and to shape the very landscape as it moves?